What's happening, guys? Cod Kid here, and I'm doing a little bit different of a video today. I left my camera equipment and everything back at my parents' house, so we're recording this video straight from the phone, and I'm holding it so it's in a weird angle, and the background's a little messy. I'm doing a bunch of different projects. Basically, I did a video about 2 weeks ago, or meant to do a video earlier on Ryzen 3D and all this other stuff. We'll do a more of like a deep dive comparison to that stuff later, but I do want to do a video on what to expect from the RX 6500 XT, the new budget gaming king, possibly for around $200 at launch. Now, a video from Moore's Law is dead. Just announced basically all the nitty-gritty details about how the 6500 XT is only going to be at MSRP for maybe a very short period of time. If MSRP stays for a while, be great. But if not, should you jump on the 6500 XT? You're trying to look up for an upgrade for the maybe a GTX 970 or GTX 980, maybe jump from a 1050 Ti or even a old RX 480 platform, if that's even a thing. Say if you're upgrading from a 970, should you? If you're trying to go from something maybe like a 1060 or 1070, this probably isn't the upgrade, although it is a new architecture, so if it's kind of having some weird issues, maybe you should be upgrading. But I did have an RX 590 laying around, a 4GB, which is probably comparatively to what this is going to be, or the 5500 XT, which came out last year. So I did do some benchmarks of Fortnite, CSGO, the new free-to-play PUBG, GTA 5, Overwatch, and Warzone, which I actually recently uninstalled and reinstalled just for this update. You guys are welcome, by the way. So the RX 590, I did test this with my old test rig. It doesn't have my 5800X in. I didn't feel like tearing out the new rig, putting this my new CPU in. I didn't feel like tearing out of this rig, put it in there. So it's using an older CPU, which I do want to do a new CPU test. Intel has some pretty competitive and budget CPUs, so I will be doing a complete budget build and getting probably the 6500 XT if I can get a 3500 or a 3050 Super or 3050 from NVIDIA. I would prefer that because the more gig of VRAM, it's slightly stronger from what we can tell. But anyways, so let's go from here. Fortnite ran at 106 FPS average. This is, of course, on Ultra 1080p, just to give it kind of more of a CPU and GPU equilibrium instead of running like maybe 1440p or 4K. It'd be more GPU dependent. With only 4 gigabytes of RAM on this 590, it's trying to really compare what the 6500 XT specs are going to be like. Counter-Strike Go ran at 171 FPS. Of course, this is more of a CPU-bound game. And with an R5 2600, it's not really bound on the GPU especially, but it kind of gives you a comparative scale on like what an esports game is. Speaking of esports, the newly free-to-play game PUBG, or Players Unknown Battleground, ran at 65.5 FPS on average. Not bad for this game. I did start playing this on my 3070 Ti recently, and this game was super buttery smooth. And this is the first time I really played on PC. I played on Xbox One long time ago. Obviously, longtime players of the channel will know that I did play PUBG a lot on my other channel, I should say. Yeah, pretty fun experience. GTA 5, 77 FPS on average. Of course, probably a limiting factor of the R5 2600, but not a big deal. A pretty old game. Overwatch, 110 FPS. It's a pretty easy game to run anymore. And Warzone with 79 FPS on average. Honestly, my personal opinion about the 6500 XT is it's more of the people that are wanting to build a computer on a budget but don't really have, ideas or a GPU at all to really put in their system. Some people have been buying RAM for a little bit more money. It's probably going to be better, but the 6500 is probably going to be closer to MSRP, and it's going to be pretty decent at playing games on 1080p high or even 1080p low, depending on the severity of the game. I feel like the 6500 for me personally is going to be good
I do want to play some VR games. I'm not sure if the 6500 is going to be great with only 4 gigabytes of RAM with my Oculus Rift S. But honestly, it's going to be a little bit small PC. It's going to be running a little bit better than a Ryzen 5 3600 i3, which is going to be crazy. I want to test that here soon, and compare that to my Ryzen 7 5800, which isn't really not fair in comparison. But obviously, the i3 is super cheap. It's only like $110, something like that. So I do want to bring all that together, do a budget PC build, and do some other things on the channel. It's just like right now there's a lot of things going on in the tech space. There's a lot of videos I wanted to do, and like I said, I lost my camera. Well, not lost my camera. It's at my parents' house. They live so far away. I don't really feel like going all the way out there right now and, doing all this kind of stuff. So the RX 6500 XT is going to be an interesting one to see whether or not it's going to be a good solution. And, I don't know. I think it's going to be good for the low or entry-level 1080p gaming machine, depending on what kind of CPU you get. I think that, especially with Intel, is right now becoming the more budget option comparatively to AMD, because AMD doesn't really have a $100 or even a $200 CPU right now, which usually the Ryzen 5 2600 or even the 3600 would be the comparative $200 flagship budget level 6-core CPU, but they just didn't have that this generation. They were going for more of a cheaper alternative with the 5600G, although it's still not even in the subclass $200 range. So really, I'm kind of intrigued with Intel and seeing how they're actually the budget option this time around. And AMD finally going to be releasing some budget GPUs, but is it really going to be worth it for $200 for a 4 gigabyte card in 2022? I think we'll have to just kind of wait back and see, and I'll see you guys in about a week, and I'll let you guys know I'll basically do a video of me unboxing the card, talking about if I was able to get a 3050, because I guarantee if there's no 3050s, I'll be walking out of Micro Center with the 6500 XT. They've apparently shipped tons of this card. AMD has shipped tons of this card, so I'm assuming that I'll be able to get my hands on one. So if you guys want to see that, please subscribe. Love to see you guys there, and check out the channel. Appreciate you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Is that you?
No fucking way! Oh, there's an airplane! Watch out! Why are we on opposite teams? What the fuck? How does this even happen? Wait, who's this guy? Is this Easton right here?
Yeah, that's Easton.